Hi, this is Oliver Hauser, whom we got to know through this year's whom we got to know through this year's New Voices project, which, as most of you know, are composers and lyricists and book writers under the age of 26. If you would introduce yourself to everybody listening, that's probably more concise and probably more accurate than if I were to do it on your behalf.
Great. Well, I'm Oliver Hauser. I write book music and lyrics for musicals. I started as an actor, but got really into writing music in college, where I kind of had one music teacher who really turned me on to composing, and since then I got the bug, and I really love doing it. And I'm working on a show right now called XY that was just done at the ASCAP Musical Theater Festival, the ASCAP Musical Theater Workshop. And it's being done at the Page to Stage Festival in London in August. So, yeah, kind of a nice intro.
Excellent. And XY, that refers to chromosomes. That's the one that's about a cross-gender, transgender. What's XY about?
XY is about an intersex man who's born with what's sometimes referred to as ambiguous genitalia, who's then raised as a girl based on the recommendation of doctors, which was standard medical practice until very recently.
Wow. Is that a comedy? Is that a drama? Is it somewhere in between? What is that?
I'd say it's a drama, but I'm hoping for it to have certainly comedic elements, or at least just very human. It's a good question. I think I don't know. I get trapped with labels. I feel like that's so. It feels so limiting, but I know it's very important.
Then let me rephrase it as well, because I'm sort of a duotrope kind of guy, or even a triple trope, because I agree. If there's too much comedy in your drama. It's pretty serious for a comedy. So is it elements of both? Does it oscillate of both? Are the tragic moments also touching and funny? What's the tones of it?
Yeah, the tragic moments touching funny. I feel like it definitely. Yeah, I think it's if there's humor in it, it comes out of the characters and not out of making jokes. So I would say that it's humorous because I find life to be very humorous sometimes. But the humor, I think, hopefully comes out of the character and just out of the.
Yeah. And how'd you come to that subject matter? What's your relationship to that?
I heard about this story about a boy whose penis was burned off in circumcision and was raised as a girl in a psychology class during my freshman year of college.
Wow.
And I was really intrigued by. Oh, and this boy was then raised as a girl by this maniacal psychiatrist who wanted to prove a theory about gender identity.
Huh.
So I found the story to be so inherently dramatic, and also the theme of discovering who we are and learning to own our identity. I find very compelling and very personal, and I've since become very interested in the struggle of intersex people and their desire to be themselves, even though traditionally they have identities thrust upon them.
The one excerpt that we did in the New Voices project this year was a moment in which your main character, Christine, is that her name?
That's right. Yeah, that's the young version
right.
of the protagonist.
Christine is 10 years old in the section that we did. Are you imagining that role is played by an adult or a child, and an adult of what sex? Is it a baritone role? Is it a soprano? Talk to us about and your choices of how you came to that decision.
My director, Hunter Bird, and I'm developing the piece with Hunter. We're really interested in that role being played by a male-identifying young actor, so who's around 10 or 11.
Oh.
And then but he's dressed up in girls' clothing, his long hair. And then the adult version of that character, who's transitioned back into being a man, we're also interested in a male-identifying actor playing the role. Yeah, I've just learned they may be casting a trans actor for the London production in August to play the adult role, and I'm really excited about the prospect of that, especially since I'm interested as a cisgender male, making sure that I'm portraying these situations and these characters as humanly as possible.
And as undoubtedly sympathetic and as accurately as you can get. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I'm sure some of the writers who are watching went, London? So talk to us about the journey from, so I have an idea for a musical to, and now it's got a presence in London. I'm sure it didn't quite go exactly like that. So what's that journey?
Oh my God.
And is it
Totally went exactly like
is it
that.
emulatable?
Yeah.
Is it, what I'm hoping is that some of our viewers can pick up some tips along the way of like where you were aggressive, or when it flipped from being an idea to workshop or workshop to production, who got involved, when, and how.
Yeah, so I think for the journey so far with the show was definitely like, I had an idea. I went to Hunter Bird, who I love collaborating with, who's developing the show with me. And we started working on it together. We did several readings with some close friends, like close groups, where I just worked on writing the show. And it was this show in particular has been very challenging to write. The structure of it is complex because it toggles between past and present, and I think the themes are very closely related to my own personal journey. So there's been a lot of like self-discovery involved in the creation of it. So it's taken a long time to begin to really execute the show. But once I had a couple demos and some of the script, I started sending it out to things, and I just created this big Excel sheet with all the different like residencies, developmental programs, all that sort of stuff. And I just like hit the deadlines as they came. And man, it's such a bitch. Dude, this application shit, oh my God. I mean, I'm sorry to be so blatant.
No,
but
it's great.
it feels like most of the, I feel like I spend eventually most of the time submitting to things, which is fine because the opportunities are incredible. The opportunities I've had.
So let me hit the pause button a sec, because I want you to continue and say, okay, what came of that. But I'd love to take out a big highlighter and say, first of all, how did you find out where to send it to? Where was the source of the information? And how did you keep yourself motivated to continue to do it? Because I posit that many writers don't take the first step, and if they take the first step, they're like, oh, I just can't. Why can't I just write? So see, can you either be inspiring or make people run away from this profession?
Oh my God, it's so hard to stay motivated. I feel like I'd love to like sit down I love sitting down with writers and just like kind of like fetching, together about, God, it's hard, especially, at the early stages, I feel like, of my career, when it's like, especially since I'm developing this show with the director, but I am writing book music and lyrics. It's hard because it's isolating. And I know this all sounds sort of negative and just doing the negative, but I feel like the first thing is just to like really accept that it's hard. It's like really hard. It is challenging. And just to like own that, and that's exciting. There's something exciting about that, to know like, wow, this is not easy. To like sit alone in your apartment and with all the other stuff that goes on in life, to like sit down in the chair and put pen to paper. And I know personally for me, in terms of like staying motivated, I'm learning how to set up routines in my life where I write at the same time every day. I do this thing called Morning Pages, which is a free write every morning based on this book by Julia Cameron called The Artist's Way. So I'm building things in my life that help me write every day, regardless of how I'm feeling or whether or not the inspiration is there. I don't know if this is totally answering your question.
No, it's good. And talk a little bit about where you heard, where you got your information from.
Oh, right. I got very lucky actually. I had a friend who I know had created a spreadsheet. I had gotten the idea for a spreadsheet, and then I'd been compiling things randomly just from Googling, from seeing what people are doing on Facebook. A huge thing was looking at the writers that I admire, my contemporaries, and just reading their bios, and then seeing, okay, what's that? Google it. What's that? Google it. And I started creating a sheet. And then I learned that a friend had done the same thing, and I merged my sheet with his. So now I've got a pretty big, comprehensive list of all the major programs.
Awesome. Great, great, great. So then what? So you've sent this out, you hit that deadline, then this deadline, and this deadline. How did those deadlines turn into somebody who was interested in your show or give you an opportunity to do something more than just wish and long?
Well, first, what you just said also sparks the fact that, oh my gosh, those deadlines are so helpful. Like it's amazing to know, like, yeah, by this time I need to have this much of the script done so I can submit to this thing. Like I love that. And yeah, I think there are many things I didn't get accepted to, and then I got really, I don't know if I got lucky, but I'm so thrilled that I was accepted. The first place that really said yes to this show was the ASCAP workshop, which Michael Kirker, who's the director of musical theater at ASCAP, and Stephen Schwartz, both picked XY, my piece, one of 3 pieces to be presented this May. And so that was a phenomenal experience. We put up a reading of the first 50 minutes of the show, and then I had a guest panel, Stephen Schwartz, Michael Weiner, and Joe DiPietro, who...
Sorry, Joe, what was, Joe who?
I don't know if I'm pronouncing his last name right.
DiPietro?
DiPietro.
He's Memphis, is that right?
That's right.
Yeah,
yes, you got
it.
Yeah. They all had such wise feedback, and it was so helpful and inspiring, and got me so jazzed to keep working on the show and make revisions.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. Great. So then from ASCAP to London, and then I'll let that journey go. How did it get from ASCAP to London?
London was just another thing I applied for.
Wow.
This From Page to Stage festival that Katie Lipson and Christian Poland co-produce. Or I think Katie Lipson is the producer. And I just submitted it, and they said yes. And I'm now this weekend finishing work on the show.
Wow.
So ending my draft.
Wow. Is that also Perfect Pitch? Is Perfect Pitch involved with this Page to Stage? Andy Barnes, is that group?
I don't think so, but I could be wrong. I don't know. I think I've heard of Perfect Pitch.
And is this concert presentations, actors at music stands? Is that what you're going to get in London?
This is going to be a staged reading, and I hear it's very staged. So I'm actually going to get to go over there and see it. So I'm really excited.
Very cool. That's really neat. Now I want to talk a little bit about collaboration for someone who does music book and lyrics, because you've mentioned collaborating with Hunter, who's a director. So let me make sort of a twofold question out of this. What's it like collaborating with a director or a dramaturg or someone who's outside the actual writing of music book and lyrics? And 2, if you had your druthers, would you prefer to continue to write alone, or would you like to find a collaborator and just haven't yet found the right chemistry?
Well, to answer the first one, I love working with Hunter. I think I got lucky finding him, because he and I have a very special working relationship where I'll come up with an idea, and I'll write either a full song or just like ideas for a song, or I won't even write anything down. I'll just have the idea, and he and I will meet, and he just has no filter, and he'll say, okay, crazy idea, or he'll say and then come up with a great idea, or he'll say, okay, bad play version, and then basically improvises the entire scene. in a wonderful way. So he provides me with so much inspiration that I think I'm really lucky to have found him. I really like working with him. But to answer the second question, I would totally prefer to be working with a book writer. I know that my greatest strength is in writing music and lyrics, and it's also I take the most joy in that work. And I just feel that I feel like book writers are hard to come by, and I haven't found anyone yet that I've just clicked with, where we're just totally on the same creative wavelength. Yeah. So I feel it will happen eventually, but hasn't yet.
Yeah, great.
Meeting that person.
Great answer. So let me ask a couple sort of esoteric questions of you. Not that you have the answers to these, but like for instance, where's musical theater headed? What's next for, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years from now? What should we expect? Because I know you know the answers. You must know the answers.
I do. It's Hamilton 2.
What after the duel? What is that?
After the duel.
Hamilton in the grave. It's like Lincoln in the Bardo, only it's Hamilton in the Bardo.
Oh, I love that.
Totally do it.
Yeah, there'll be one for every president.
Well, and then there'll be some first ladies. There'll be like Barbara Bush in the Bardo, and then Nancy Reagan in the Bardo.
I'm gonna write that one.
I claim Nancy Reagan in the Bardo because she probably wouldn't get along in the Bardo. She'd probably bring her horoscopist with her. So anyway, but we digress. No, seriously, as if there's a serious answer to this. Where do you think we're headed with musical theater? Where would you like us to be headed?
Oh, I think those might be different, but I think it's regardless. This is such an exciting time for musicals. I mean, if you look at the Tony nominees this year and last year, it's I mean, shows they're idiosyncratic, and they're personal, and a lot of them are very intimate. Some of them aren't intimate, but they're still, which is something that I tend to like a lot. Stories that are sort of almost sort of play, musical plays in a way. Like
so Oliver, how do you think that happened? Because 5-10 years ago it was movie title, movie title, movie title, movie title. So how do we move from movie title to idiosyncratic, not based on anything, or idiosyncratic based on something that wasn't a big movie? Do you have any how that happens?
That's a great question. It's not something I've really thought about, but I think obviously with Hamilton, the fact that piece utilizes mainstream music has totally, I think, opened the door for what a musical can be. But obviously there are many other shows that have a very kind of musical theater sound that have been very successful recently. It's a good question. They're original. I had a thought and I forgot it. I don't know. I don't know the reason, but I'm thrilled about it because I think it means that there's more opportunity.
But what's also interesting is that it wasn't as if Hamilton on Broadway this year and therefore 12 months later there's all these brand new shows that responded to Hamilton, because all these brand new shows have been in development for years and years. So let's write that question down and come up with the answer to that at some point.
Well, one thought I have is I feel like it's sort of been in the works with. I think Glee was a big thing.
Right.
I think High School Musical was a big thing.
Yeah.
I think Frozen was big. I think that obviously La La Land most recently. I think musical storytelling was so big in the 40s and 50s on screen, and then on Broadway as well. There seems to have been that little dip, but it I don't know. It shows up in other mediums now, right? Like on TV and film, and I think that's probably translating to the stage.
Yeah. I think you're right. I think there's an exploration of storytelling through song, whether it's in a traditional musical or like a sitcom like Crazy Ex-Girlfriend, where sometimes they'll
Right.
sing through this scene, and other times they'll talk through the scene, and there's not a song in sight. So, two
Right.
last questions, maybe three. If you got suddenly a whole wad of cash, let's say a huge amount, $100 million to spend on new musical theater, how would you spend that?
To spend, like, I get to go to shows? What is that? To spend on new musical?
If you want to spend $100 million on going to shows, then that's your answer. But that would be hard to spend that much. No, like developing shows or production companies, or what would you do to help fund new musicals?
To help, is this like for like me or for? I guess that's up to me. Isn't it?
It's your money. It's your money now.
That's amazing. I get to dream really big for a second. I feel like first.
Don't enjoy it
first
too
I'm-
much. It's not going to last. Don't enjoy it too long. But
Okay, so this is like I get $100 million brief. Okay,
then we'll take it away.
I see what you mean. Okay. First, I would just buy a piano. I'm sorry that's selfish, but that's the first thing I would
How
do.
much would that piano cost? How expensive is that piano?
I would get a really fucking expensive
Okay,
piano.
excellent.
I would get a Fazioli. I would get like I don't know how they go, but-
You would get Elton John's piano, I think, is what you would get.
and I would get Elton John.
And
yeah,
yes, and Elton.
exactly. I'd go for the yeah. What would I would put money into starting a theater company with my friends. I have a group of friends that I think we're all kind of interested in creating a theater company, but we don't know none of us have experience with that, and I think we also don't know financially how to get that off the ground, so put it into that for sure. And in terms of other work, there is a writing team named Steph Singer and Laurel Hines, and I don't know if I'm allowed to talk about this project, but they're adapting a movie, and I would put all the money I have into helping them make this thing, because this show is going to be incredible.
Excellent.
Whenever they make it. So look out for them for sure.
Excellent.
Yeah, those are the things. But first the piano.
Excellent. Piano. You could start on that right away. But before I let you go with one last question, talk to me. This is an opportunity for a blatant commercial for New Musicals Inc. and the New Voices Project. What was that like for you? What was that experience like? Because you've been completely long distance. We workshopped your pieces here, and they gave you some feedback. Was that useful to you? Not useful to you? Hint: useful to you is the right answer.
It was a blast. I had a great night. It was really fun. My only wish is that there were more, because it was so much fun. It's always really useful to hear my work be interpreted by actors, especially. I love hearing my work being done by people like I haven't met or that I haven't worked with, because it gives me a window into all the different ways that my work might come out when different people are collaborating on it. So it was really exciting to see how you guys interpreted it and put it together. And then the feedback was really helpful. I find it always helpful to get feedback on my work. And I thought the three panelists, you, Elise, and Michael, were very on point. You know your stuff. I felt it was. You spoke about prosody. How do you pronounce that word?
Prosody.
Prosody. It's always that. I love that. It's a great reminder. The way that you were outlining the importance of proper scansion and making sure that the important words come on the important pitches, and I'm being really specific right now, but yeah, it was just super helpful. It
Great.
was super helpful. And I think I'm at a place right now, especially where I'm still just soaking in so much. I have so much to learn. There's so much I don't know. There's so much where I hear something and I'm like, oh, of course, I didn't think of that. Oh my God, I'm so glad to know that. So it was one of those kind of opportunities to
Great.
just
Great.
insight into my work and into writing musicals in general.
Yeah, appreciate that. Thanks for the commercial. So my last question for you is, do you have any advice that you would give musical theater writers, composers, book writers, librettists who are trying to develop musicals and make a living at it? Got any advice for them?
Oh my goodness. Do I have any advice for them? I feel like I'm the one that needs advice, but the advice I would give is like, don't stop writing. Is like, be sure, write. This is just me telling myself this advice right now. Be okay writing the shit, right? I'm sorry, I hope it's okay.
No, we're all friends here, and if we weren't before,
Right.
we are now.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, just get the bad stuff out. Get the bad stuff out. It's so hard. It's so hard to sit down and know that you have this like beautiful thing, this beautiful elusive thing inside you or outside you or wherever it is, and then you go to put your hands on the keyboard or on the computer, and what comes out is not even close to that, and it's painful. It makes it so hard to keep going. It's so hard. But if you just do it, slowly, you might even get a little bit closer to that thing. So just the goal is to just do it, and also definitely make that Excel sheet. Like that thing is amazing. Make the Excel sheet with all the opportunities, and then use that as your deadline machine, because I don't know how to work without deadlines.
Excellent, great advice. So I have one little parenthetical piece of advice for you. You have this great thought in your head, and what comes out on paper and the computer isn't what you're aiming for.
Yeah.
So here's, just because no one's listening now, Oliver, between you and me, what I would suggest is there's an interim step, which is just to jot down, just in bullet form, just a handful of, here's what I am trying to do with this stanza or with this song. Or with this scene. It's like boom, 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 B A, B2, or the purpose of this song is to take this character from here to there. Or the thesis of this section is, I want to make sure she is thinking about this or coming to grips with this or rejecting that idea. And just jot it down, bump, 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 bump. So that then when you're writing whatever it is you're writing, you can go back and go, it's not right because it's not what I had in my head, as opposed to, it's not what I had in my head, but at least you've got some double check. But I wouldn't spend it, you don't have to formalize that, but just take that one step of jotting it down. That might help.
I really like that. Just jotting down exactly what the initial impulse is.
Yeah. The initial impulse and the goal of what you're writing, whether it's a stanza, a song, a scene, an outline. Just write down the goal of this song is to make her or him take the journey from I don't want to color, I'm not worthy of coloring, I don't know about colors, to, you know what? I'm going to explore colors because boom, boom, boom. And then you can double check, is that the journey? Did you order it in that arrangement, or did she come to that conclusion at the very beginning? I'm going to use lots of colors. And then all the rest of it is a rationalization like, is that really what I wanted to do? That kind of thing. So that's my advice to you. Yeah.
I love that. Thank you. That's great. That's a wonderful idea.
Great.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I enjoyed this. I have no idea whether you did or didn't, but this is great for me.
I did too. Thank you, Scott.
Great.
Yeah, this is really fun.
Thank you, Oliver Hauser. Ciao.
Great.